Hey, good morning, folks. It's Pastor Stephen back again with another No Frills daily devotional. And today's topic is Stop the Slip. All right, and this is going to be a continuation. All right, if you've been tracking with me, I've been on this kick of talking about the cycle and breaking the cycle of sin and disobedience in our lives. And so if you watched the previous episode that I did called Let It Slide, this is kind of continuing on that thought in how I feel like, and I said this in that previous episode, I feel like we don't fully comprehend or understand the effect that sin actually has on our life, but in the world around us and the lives of people around us as well. We don't fully comprehend, because if we did, I don't think we'd be so quick to justify it, and I don't think we'd be so quick to downplay it. But the Bible's very clear on what sin produces. It produces death. For the wages of sin is death. Paul writes about that in Romans, but he's going to write about that in many other places, that sin leads to death and destruction every time. But we don't always think about that in the moment. And rather what we try to do is we downplay it. It's not that big of a deal. But when little things go unattended, they accumulate and become big things. And we gotta stop. We gotta stop allowing sin to take a hold in our lives. All right. And so that's what today's all about. It's this idea of stop the slip. But I'm going to take you back to Jeremiah, and I'm going to read to you. This is Jeremiah chapter 52, and I'm going to read to you verses 12 through 14, because the Israelites were thinking the same thing. They were just downplaying their sin. They were thinking it's not that big of a deal. And what happened is sin led to destruction. Okay, disobedience led to their destruction. So this is Jeremiah 52, verses 12 through 14. On the 10th day of the 5th month in the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, commander of the imperial guard who served the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. And listen what happened. He set fire to the temple of the Lord, the royal palace, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every important building he burned down. The whole Babylonian army under the commander of the imperial guard broke down all the walls around Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem wasn't just this tiny little insignificant city. Jerusalem was, in its day, the city of cities. When David built it and Solomon built it, and following rulers kept building and building and building, this was a pretty important and significant city. And here it is, lying in destruction. Now, Jeremiah is writing in the book Jeremiah kind of the historical context of this, but I'm going to take you to Lamentations, because Jeremiah also wrote Lamentations kind of at the same time that he's writing the book Jeremiah. He's writing this side book, Lamentations, and it's more like his feelings and emotions, kind of like his personal journal. And so listen to what he writes. This, I'm going to read to you Lamentations chapter 4, verses 12 through 13. And Jeremiah writes this. He says, "The kings of the earth did not believe, nor did any of the world's people, that enemies and foes could ever enter the gates of Jerusalem." It was a pretty impressive city. Nobody thought that this city could ever be destroyed. But it happened. He's writing here, but it happened because of the sins of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests, who shed within her the blood of the righteous. And what Jeremiah is doing here is he's not pulling any punches, folks. He's coming right out and saying, hey, the reason that this city, right, they're looking at right now, as he's writing this, he's looking at all the walls around the city have been destroyed. Every house has been burned down. The temple, Solomon's temple, this majestic structure, has been burned down and destroyed. Everywhere around him is ruin and destruction. And he's got to have this thought like, Lord, how did it come to this? Well, it was because things just kept people just kept letting things slide. they kept letting things slide, and they kept downplaying their disobedience. They kept justifying their disobedience and thinking it's not going to be a big deal and God's not going to notice. And what happens is now here they are looking at destruction. So I've got some tips for you, okay, to help stop the slip in your life so that it doesn't come, your life doesn't come to the ruin and destruction that Jerusalem came to, okay? Because the wages of sin are death, okay? I want to help you stop the slip today, all right? So it's time to stop letting things slide. It's time for us to get a foothold. How do I get a foothold, Stephen? Okay? Step one, aim small. Aim small. We got to create change one small right choice at a time, because destruction happens one compromise at a time. And so to stop the slip and we've got to get a foothold by making one right choice at a time. And think about it like this: commitment over compromise. Okay, here's the direction my life is going. I don't like where it's headed. It's taking me towards destruction, okay, and ruin. Okay, and so how am I going to get back on track? I need to make one right choice at a time, and I've got to elevate commitment, my commitment to having a better life over the temptation to compromise. All right. Step two, seek accountability. What does that mean? You got to invite people in who you trust to help you see change in your life. People that are going to be committed to help you achieve change in your life. I'm going to take you to Proverbs, because Solomon writes a lot about this idea of accountability. And this is Proverbs chapter 24. And I'm going to read to you verse 6. For waging war, you need guidance, and for victory, many advisors. And what is Solomon saying? You can't do this on your own. You need help. You need help from people that you trust. But ultimately, he's playing into tip number 3, because you can't do this on your own. You need to look to the Holy Spirit, all right? Because you got to be careful with something like this when you're trying to stop the slip in your life, when you're trying to reverse direction, when you're trying to get back on track. It's not about you trying to be a better you, okay? Just hang on for just a second. It's not about you trying to be a better you. It's about you partnering with the Holy Spirit to be the you that God created you to be. All right? It's not about you trying to be a better you. It's about you partnering with the Holy Spirit to be the you that God created you to be. And so, if you are looking to break the cycle of sin and disobedience in your life, all right, we got to stop the slip. We got to get a foothold right now. So aim small, okay? Aim small, one right choice at a time. Elevate commitment over compromise. Step 2, seek accountability. You can't do this on your own. You got to invite people you trust in. But ultimately, step 3, you got to get the help from the Holy Spirit, because he's the one who's going to partner with you to be the you that God created you to be. Hey, you guys, have an awesome, awesome day and be blessed.